Hey, it's Artists and Authors. I'm your host for this segment, Steve Walling. My guest is Caleb Henderson. He is a art teacher at Fresno City. Very interesting fellow. I had a chance to talk to him before we came on camera. Caleb, welcome to the show. Like we were talking about beforehand, Fresno has an incredible art community. And you being an instructor here at Fresno City, now, you say you were from New Orleans, been here at Fresno City for about 5 years. It's got to be a little bit different feel for you coming here, but, your impressions I thought were kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see. It's definitely a shift. So coming from a place like New Orleans where the art scene is foundational and very vibrant and there's always something going on, to Fresno where a lot of people I think feel like, oh, Fresno, nothing's going on, whatever. And I have found that not to be the case, like we were talking before, where
it's an amazing, kind of below the surface, but it's very vibrant, very active. They have their ongoing art hops, which keeps the local people that live here, in an interaction with the artists themselves. But we've got some incredible art galleries, and I hear there's a rumor that we've got a pretty good art instructor over here at Fresno City College. So,
Yeah, not me, the painting instructor.
Yeah. So, okay.
I teach drawing at Fresno City, yeah, and it's, just to speak to your point, yeah, I was going to say the art scene here, you participate in one event, it feels kind of tight-knit, you see people that you've seen maybe before elsewhere, and then you go to another event and there's more, like someone who knows someone, everything's a lot more, you feel a lot more plugged in, I think, here, which has been nice for me to almost feel like I belong instantly, which is something that Fresno has shown me just having been here for 5 years.
There is kind of, I hesitate to say, but kind of like a very family community type of feeling. I interview a lot of artists and various modalities here, and not only in the arts like what you're involved with, but theater arts, music, musicians and stuff. That whole community is vibrant. It's very tied into each other, very supportive of each other, and there's always something going. Well, except for right now, but there's usually always something going on.
Yeah, and it's been a switch. It's hard. Just speaking to that, having the art scene kind of relies on people coming together and grouping together, as so many other scenes do. And it's hard. It's hard to have everybody sort of locked down in their homes or not going out, at least. Kind of been a tough adjustment.
You're doing most of your instruction now online as a teacher who teaches drawing. That's got to be a bit of a challenge, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's definitely been some compromises and some sacrifices in the instruction to get it done, but I find it's been working pretty well. So I do live streams on YouTube for my classes where I'll talk about the approach we're working on, and there'll be a camera over my shoulder and one facing me so I can talk and draw. And then, so students have been coming there, they can ask me questions in the chat. We've been kind of going that route, trying to cobble together some sense of there still being a classroom and community of fellow students and teacher kind of there. So it's working okay, but it's definitely got its hiccups and difficulties.
Yeah, I bet. Now, how did you end up coming to Fresno as a drawing instructor from Louisiana, New Orleans?
So originally I'm from Utah, so I'm from the West to begin with.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I got my undergraduate degree in Utah. Spent 2 years with my wife, so I got married while I was getting my undergraduate degree. Spent 2 years with my wife in Uganda as a Peace Corps volunteer. Came home and decided grad school was the route for me. So worked on my grad school portfolio in my wife's parents' basement. Prospects were rough back then. Eventually got accepted into Tulane in New Orleans, so I went there for my graduate degree. and then stayed on after to teach as an adjunct instructor, all the while putting, doing the job search. And I have to tell you, as an artist, teaching gigs are not, I don't want to say they're hard to come by, but there are a lot of applicants looking for a good, steady teaching gig. So the competition's pretty stiff.
Now, Caleb, this may be the voice of ignorance. In my mind, you either have to make it professionally as an artist, if you're an artist, or you got to teach. And there's a lot of artists out there that, they're not sure what it takes to get out there and do it as a profession, because, you got, there's a lot of licks, there's a lot of knocks. We're going to talk about something in a minute, too. We talked about prior to coming on camera, the idea of practice and stuff. But, I imagine that the competition to become an art instructor, particularly in the college environment, has got to be really intense.
Yeah, I would say that it is, and because to me, in my mind, there's like a balance. There's like a trade-off balance that happens. So as an independent artist trying to make it on my own, I have to hit the pavement. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of like piecing together what you can out of like the opportunities that arise, right. Meeting people, being a real go-getter. What you get on the other end is a lot of time in your studio to work on your artwork and to sort of fulfill your vision, so to speak. So that definitely has its appeal. And I know, in fact, former students that are doing that in the area right now. The other side of the coin, or the other, maybe another avenue, is to go the teaching route, as I've done, which is fantastic for keeping you plugged in with people who are excited about art in sort of this teaching, discussing art mode. The trade-off that I found, at least for that, is, given that I have a family as well, is that so much time working with campus and building your classes and instructing and grading and all of that, that the time to work on your own work kind of it gets set to the side a little bit, prioritized down the list, so to speak. And that can be unpalatable, I think, for some artists, is that you have to kind of put your own art, what you want to be doing, you kind of have to put it back in line a few places as you take care of your other priorities, teaching being a large one.
I'm going to stop you right there. I hear what you're saying. But as a individual that can work with students, and the thing that I mentioned we're going to talk about now, that we mentioned before we went on camera, the idea of somebody who thinks that you've got to have some kind of divinely gifted talent in order to be an artist, and that's just not true.
Yeah, and I think that's a damaging sentiment to a lot of people who would otherwise be creating beautiful artwork and having that fulfillment that comes from creating something.
But Caleb, you're the person that teaches that to them, that draws that out of them. People that think, well, I don't have divinely gifted, what can I do? Well, I'm going to take this art class because I got to have an art class or whatever. They come in and you begin to show them that, to get the hand to work in conjunction with what the eye sees. And that's a science in and of itself. But you take that to the next level of being creative in that whole process, and you're kind of like the maestro behind that, it's kind of be an awesome position to be in.
Well, it's fantastic. I'll tell you, like, to see someone who doesn't think they can do a thing and to help them as they realize that they can and make those steps, it's profoundly rewarding, and is well worth it to me. It's one of the highlights of teaching, is to be able to be part of that process. I want to speak to something that you said earlier, which I think is really quite important, and it's one of the first things that I talk about in teaching people drawing at the start, is that so often the hurdles that we run into as artists is that we don't draw, especially as we're looking to perceive the world around us more clearly and learn how to draw those things that we encounter and sort of represent our world. We often don't draw what we see or what the thing is really like, and instead we draw something else. It's like the symbol, the thing that we have in our mind.
Yeah.
In place of that thing. And I think that's a stumbling block for a lot of students, is realizing that you can learn and practice your way out of seeing the world in these basic symbols.
Yeah.
You know, square walls with a peaked roof. An apple always looks the same. An eye is a football shape with a circle in it. These are like symbols that we use to shorten what is really there. And part of drawing is just learning how to see and learning how to think about those things differently.
You know, it's one of the things that when you're having a conversation with someone and getting them to think beyond the very basic simplicity of communication, it's the same way when you're teaching an individual that's wanting to learn to draw on some level. It's getting beyond like you say, the basic symbols of that communication, and art is a form of communication. You know, it's more intimate because it's the brain, the eye communicating with the muscles and the hands and stuff. But, you know, teaching them, you can't teach them how to do it, but you can teach them how to get to that point where they can learn to do it on their own. And that learning comes through practice. It's not a divinely given talent. It's paying the price, putting in the time, you know, and creating that music of the eye on paper that they think, well, somebody else can do that, I can't. But it's not true. They can, you know.
Right.
And I'm
glad you used the phrase "music of the eye." I quite like that. I use music as an analogy a lot of the time because it's easier to understand some of the things when you talk about it in terms of music versus art. Strangely, it seems, such as the need to practice. You can understand all the musical theory in the world, but if you've never practiced an instrument, you won't can't play. And it's the same. I mean, with art, you can understand all of the visual things, all of the stuff, but if you don't put your hand to paper, you won't develop the fluency in expressing those things.
Doing it once a week for an hour isn't going to cut it, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that basement that you're in, it probably serves for a whole lot more than just online teaching. But,
yeah, there's a rack of paintings over here. There's that flat file full of drawings. I mean, I have hundreds, thousands probably of drawings. I've thrown away more drawings than I can count, I think.
So I got to ask you, Caleb. All right, you're teaching over here at City College, which is not too far from where I'm sitting. Do you ever participate in the local art hop in and around the downtown Fresno Tower District?
I do, yeah. I've done, so I had, just to list off a couple of things, I was part of the Invitational. I mean, I don't know if it counts as Tower District. Fig Tree Gallery is more downtown.
Okay.
I've participated there a couple of times. Out at Sorensen's Gallery, Nudes in November, I've done that several times. It's now Vernissage. It used to be the Art Hub, which is right near City. I did sort of a workshop and then exhibition as the juror for their show. So I do occasionally. I mean, I don't want to say quite often because I'd say once every other month or every couple of months I'll have work up somewhere in town.
I was going to ask you, besides wandering into your classroom, which is a little difficult right now,
right.
Do you have a location where, some of your artwork can be seen if somebody was interested?
Oh, yeah, I do. So I have my Instagram is probably the easiest place to go check it. That's what I update most frequently, and I kind of post. It's not really a curated artist's Instagram. It's like if I did it, I throw it up there. If it's half finished, it goes on there anyway. It's kind of, it's like, I don't know what. I just, posting what I'm working on there. It's like finished work along with demonstrations from class, along with whatever.
Right. So what is that, Caleb? What is your Instagram?
Caleb Hand.
Again.
So my Instagram handle is just Caleb, CALEB, HEND, which is just the first four letters of my last name. So at Caleb Hand.
At Caleb Hand.
Yep.
Okay, now listen. I don't know if you can see. I don't think you can because I think my engineer's got the camera turned around. But there's a lot of gray hair. Well, there's some gray hair on top of my head. There's a lot of gray missing between the ears. I got a few years on you here. I got a 10-year-old grandson that handles all my text stuff, and
Nice.
and he's telling me, Grandpa, Facebook and all that stuff's kind of passé. But that's about where I'm at. So when you get to Instagram, your Instagram address starts with the @ symbol?
Yeah, that's. You could just go to Instagram and search Caleb Hand, and it would come up too.
Okay.
The @ is like the user, that's
Okay.
that's me on Instagram.
So we can find your stuff there.
So you can find my stuff there. I do have a website, but man, I have not updated it for quite some time. So it's calebart.com.
All right, pressure's on, son. This is the time. What are you doing? You teaching classes from your basement. It's time to get your web page up.
Yeah, it's true. I need to get it updated big time. The problem is you go too long without updating it, and the job just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you're like, oh, this is going to be a colossal amount of work.
Yeah,
I just have to buckle down and do it.
It's kind of like doing that semester art project when you only got a week left in the semester, right?
I know. I'm modeling bad behavior for my students. Yeah, put it off.
Listen, Caleb, I want to thank you for being with us today. I've learned a little bit, maybe a lot. And I'm going to look up your stuff. Last question. Well, maybe not the last, but one of the questions I want to ask. I see something on that updated web page of yours or on Instagram. Is there stuff for sale there? If it was something that I'm interested in, or is it mainly just because while we're talking, Mike is putting some stuff up on the monitor here that. You got some nice stuff. I mean,
Thank you.
I don't want to get your head too big, but you do good. You do nice work.
Thank you.
So you have some of that stuff available if someone was interested in purchasing.
Yes, and that's part of the website. So right now it's just like by contact only, like send me a message and we can talk. Part of the website redesign is going to be an ability to purchase, just like a cart kind of a situation where if you want something, you can add it to your cart and sort of go that route. But for now, it's message me. So if you're on the website, there's like a form you can just submit a request, or Instagram, you can send me a direct message.
Okay. You said you don't do much of it, but I asked you before we went on camera about commission work. You do nice stuff. I know if I was thinking about having some like a portrait or something done, I'd say my grandkids, but I got so many of them now, it'd break me to have it done. But have a portrait or something done. Someone can reach you through your Instagram or whatever. And you do that work, so. That's cool. Again, thanks for being with me today. For anybody watching that's thinking about maybe going back, see, in my position, it'd be going back to school. But for younger folks that are maybe interested in going to Fresno City, you might want to look up an art class. What classes do you teach there?
Yeah, we'd be glad to have anybody come into the classroom. I'm delighted to have students in my class. I teach figure drawing, so several levels of figure drawing, beginning and intermediate.
Okay.
And then I teach basic sort of beginning drawing as well, and intermediate drawing. So it's like beginning and intermediate levels of drawing and figure drawing. And the figure drawing has kind of an anatomy component as well, so you're learning about body structure as well as how to draw.
Yeah, I heard Leonardo had to learn that too.
Yeah. At great peril, digging up bodies and such.
There you go. Caleb, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to look you up. Good luck with your work. Appreciate it. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. It's been fun. You too.
Yeah.